Coppernico Metals announced this month that it had received approval for its environmental impact assessment for expanded drilling permits at a Sombrero project in Peru. The company says this marks a key step towards completion of its expanded drill permitting process. The Sombrero project is a land package of approximately 50,000 hectares in Peru. Ivan Bebek is CEO. Ivan, welcome to Mining Stock Daily.
Thank you so much. So great to be here at this exciting time in our path.
Well, let's talk about it, Ivan. In your news release, you said the new permits nearly triples the total permitted area to approximately 3,122 hectares. You said this includes Fierrazo, which is expected to be your first target.
Yes. So small history for those that are new and everyone who knows that I'll be very concise. We got onto this project in 2016, and we recognized the opportunity to replicate a discovery of a mine that's well known called Las Bambas. Las Bambas sold for over $5 billion at $3.25 copper per pound. Copper's over doubled since then. And we see a lot of the hallmarks in here of this big system that could deliver that. 2 years ago, we got a chance to finally drill it. It took us a long time to navigate government, social and permits and build the trust of the communities, which we've done. And now we've had a permit to drill our initial holes, which showed us the system was there, but it constrained us from where we wanted to drill. We were not able to drill Fierrazo, which is part of this permit, and several other targets that we identified in the past 18 months. And so this is kind of the big breakout of the company, not just because this permit tripled in size and gives us access to most of the key areas we want, but because it allows us to use multiple drill rigs. And now it would be essentially the equivalent of a permit to drill off a mine. That's the extensive nature of this permit. It would give us plenty of pads to drill from and endless meters to drill from. So this is very exciting for us on that part. Fierrazo is the reason why we spent over $50 million in 10 years of our lives chasing this asset. It has the incredible surface results, over 200 meters of over 0.5% copper on surface. And it has 8 drill holes that were drilled by a steel company looking for iron ore. And when they saw copper in the core visually, which you can see it in our presentation, it's there. Copper does ruin the extraction of iron if it's present from a extraction perspective science. So that's why it was optioned to us. We really wanted to drill Fierrazo the first time around because the probability of success is huge. The first 8 holes have all hit what we're looking for. And it's going to become, let's expand the discovery to start. And as we drill Fierrazo, in both directions and deeper down, it's going to unlock a lot of confidence in the nearby major targets that exist. The 7 that we have access to 6 out of the 7 main targets that we plan to drill between this year and the end of next year. The other ones are substantial, but having a bit more insight from Fierrazo drilling is going to be important because there's a bit of dirt, which is created by volcanic ash, on top of the prospective copper and gold rocks nearby. So as we drill Fierrazo, it's going to give us a lot of indications of which way some of the deposits could go and how much more probable they could be from the science that we can use on surface to try and shape those targets. So a very exciting time. And as we've had a few false starts over the past few years, this is finally like the big go button because we will have so much room to drill so many things, and the copper price is skyrocketing at the same time as we're achieving these major milestones in this company.
How many rigs do you actually expect to mobilize, and have you got the contractor agreements finalized?
Yes, so we're going to start with 1 rig, and we will add a second and a third as the project tells us to do it. Obviously, rigs are expensive, and you want to scale it with the geology, but we have the ability to do that. We are very aggressive by nature, and if we can save on time of revealing this discovery versus the time it took us to get to permits and community access, we will. And from that perspective, driller is already been chosen. It's the same drillers we used before. We have a contract ready to go once the permit finalizes. We're within 30 to 60 days is our timeline to finalize what's called the start of activities. It's an academic process that you go through once you get this big permit, but this is the big one. This is a very substantial permit to get in Peru, and it will really, really improve timelines for what we do going forward and allow us to drill consecutively with a new footprint that's 3 times the size of the last polygon we were allowed to drill in and test a lot of these really, really big targets.
You're fine with the weather as well as road access?
Yeah, we drilled year round last year. I mean, the only break is through the December. You get a few weeks off for Christmas. For a lot of people celebrate that time of year in Peru. And so, but road access, weather's moderate here. At times there are storms, but there's no steep canyons. So we can drill year round with ease. We have multiple sources of water nearby. We have a town nearby. So the situation from an infrastructure standpoint is incredible for exploring. And then there's high tensile power lines on top of the property too. So you also have mine power there, which is really important. And a lot of people talk about the grade. You know, you see 0.5% copper and above in this day and age. It's a really rare to see that over big widths, tens of meters or hundreds of meters, some of it being over 1%. But when you factor in that you can drive here on a paved road, moderate terrain, geometry is in favor for a mining scenario with power lines right through the middle of the property, that just picks our grade and makes it double as profitable as it would be in a rural area, which was a lot of time, a lot of these big mines occur in places that need power brought in or water or some of these important elements or a road or their helicopter access only. So Sombrero is unique to its infrastructure as well as to the grade. And it's why we've gotten so much attention from major mining companies. Teck Resources and Newmont are shareholders last week. Teck added to their position. They maintained their 9% holding in the company. So very, very positive validation towards the opportunity here. And as excited as we are about what this could be as a major discovery, you got to kind of take the unbiased perspective of a miner like Teck Anglo or Anglo Teck as they're becoming a $90 billion company or Newmont, where they have the mine builders and the geologists that would really quantify an opportunity like this. So from all sides, it's a big swing. It's taken way longer than we anticipated, and it's not for the faint of heart. But in that time frame, copper price has more than doubled, and our targets went from 3 to 12 standalone targets that individually have the potential to be world-class major discoveries. And as you know, Michael, I'm an explorationist because I love the 20-50x return. That's what we're chasing here at all times. And as I've learned over the last 25 years, the hardest part is not the market timing. It's not the market. It's the metal in the ground. But that challenge is not just for us as little juniors looking for big mines. That challenge has become global. And if you look at the lack of major discoveries in the past decade, it's an impressive cliff of discoveries that if we've fallen off of, no one's finding new big mines anymore at a time when electrification, AI, the demand for metals is surging well beyond where it ever was in history before. So perfect storm to go make a brand new big discovery. And that's just the start of what we're looking at right now.
What is pending, Ivan, just regarding permitting and just doing more drilling? So Nioc is a target that you've identified and had some of your highest grade surface signature to date.
Yeah, Nioc is another jewelry box. And when I say that, I'm referring to how rich the copper is in surface and how probable that target advertises as. The Nioc is in a separate community from where we have access. We have built incredible rapport with that community. We've employed that community. We are moving towards a final agreement with them here in the not too far future. And then we are going to be pursuing not this extent of a permit, but one that would give us plenty of access to test Nioc as a standalone target. And so right now the plan is to drill Fierrazo first, and then move our drill rig or add our second drill rig to Nioc, so we consecutively drill the two most obvious targets of the 7 targets first. If Nioc takes a bit longer, which it can, we have plenty to drill, not just at Fierrazo, at 5 other big targets, some of them with some drilling in them or some really good probability. So we're very target rich. My preference is Fierrazo, drill that first, drill Nioc. We will be incorporating a ton of jobs for the local communities here. We anticipate drilling in September, October to start. And we are funded to start drilling right now. We will top treasury sometime between now and next spring. But we have a lot of value to create before then, not only with the completion of the permits and the commencement of drilling, but we have some other big catalysts in the background that we're looking to do. I think you've and I've spoken before. We've had a big passion to get a U.S. asset alongside Sombrero. And recently I was looking back at Orin, where Sombrero came from, and we had projects in Canada and down in Peru as an offset for geopolitics, permit delays, and all of the above. We didn't want to put any project in. We wanted to find something that had the same upside potential of Sombrero. So we're going after a U.S. asset that could deliver a world-class copper gold discovery, something that would be 10 million ounces or more of gold, copper equivalent. And that's what we're chasing. So we've narrowed it down to a few. We're hoping to acquire something here in the not too far future and go into the fall with a lot of optionality on both sides and take part in the new U.S. administration movement towards mining and be part of that critical metal discovery list in the U.S. And this is, an experienced management team and CEO's perspective of how can we do more while we wait. And honestly, Michael, I don't want to ever wait for a permit again. If I'm not drilling in Peru, I'm going to be drilling in the U.S. and or I'm drilling in both, because we are tipping the scale and going into this incredible bull cycle for not just metals, but for the mining sector, which has barely just begun, in my view.
So the U.S. asset announcement pending, correct?
Yeah, we're working on it. Obviously, I'm foreshadowing or forward-looking statement there. We're pursuing. I think that's the key word. And we're looking at a couple things that have met threshold after 250 projects. So hopefully we get something in here in the not too far future. Permit completion, advancements in the neighboring community where Nioc sits at Sombrero, commencement of drilling. And and then there's always a couple more. This has been the busiest summer in my 25 years of being in the business, with interest and deal making and different things that are going on in the background. But the goal here being, how can we accelerate that value for shareholders once the drill starts turning, and how can we monetize portfolio with a lot of optionality and catch this big move in metals that's coming ahead, as big mines are really, really hard to find, and we want to make that perfect storm the best possible way we can for shareholders.
Keiko Fujimori was inaugurated as Peru's president about 2 weeks ago. So, you talk to Canadian, U.S. Companies with projects in either country, and they're really trumpeting the government support that they have there. These are, the support that you do seeing is later development resource companies. But can you just talk about what you expect that will be coming out of Fujimori, and could you also see potentially support coming from that government?
Yeah, so we deal with both governments in Peru, and we've had success in permitting and everything with both sides. And it's unfair for us to be political because we're always dealing with both. Right before Fujimori took power.
Sorry, could you clarify both, please?
Yeah, both left and right wing governments. We've dealt with both in Peru, so we don't have a strong opinion. Traditionally, the right wing has been more business-minded, more conservative, tries to push the mining laws further. But even under the left, we saw no disruption. We saw collaborative governments. We got our first drill permit at Sombrero in a record time frame under the last left-wing president. So that being said, we're indifferent. We're more about the business of the country, where 40% or so of their GDP, mining and associated mining activities supported. What's more important to me is or equally important to me, both are important, but equally important to me is the movement in metal prices. It really lights a fire under foreign governments and foreign countries, because everybody wants to capture that increased revenue for themselves, their communities, and the countries as is. So that puts pressure. And right before Fujimori came in, there was a group that came in there, our BNP Paribas, did a report. They're cutting the permit time down drastically in Peru. That's the initiative that was taken right before she took office. In my view, she's incredibly positive for mining. It was a very narrow election. The only thing that bothered me about it was it went into 3 runoffs, which delayed the permit that I just announced and affected my last financing. But that's life. That's life of working in Peru and geopolitics. But I think you're going to see a big shift. I think she's going to be incredibly helpful to the mining sector. And I think that's going to benefit the people of Peru a lot. Where, since I've been there, where we were able to be impactful was the agricultural programs we partnered with the government on. And we helped bridge the gap between the old perception that mining just takes and doesn't give back to the people. We bridged the gap between the government and these small towns, which don't really trust each other. And by doing that and supervising that, the community not only got a lot of agricultural programs and funding from the government, but it also gave us access to move our project forward. So I think in general, that is imperative. It's called Agrodías. It's being done by several major mining companies across Peru and juniors. It's a new way to incorporate the social footprint. Jobs is the best language to speak, and we're about to create a ton of jobs here with the start of drilling. And the best news about this time around is we have a lot longer time period to provide these jobs for, because the access we have to go and drill and explore is much more extensive than we had the first time around. So everything's moving forward, interestingly enough, but usually happens well with commodity prices, government directions, initiatives that are being taken in a resource-rich country in Peru. And I like to say, as much as people, look at Peru with skepticism over multiple presidents, I think there was 10 or 11 since I've been there. Mining has never stopped. They've never disrupted it. At times, things went slower, but not too slow, or they speed up. And we're in the speed up form of Peru now, at a time where they recognize value for their country, and they're going to want to monetize that as much as possible. So I think we have a really positive direction going forward here.
Lastly, Ivan, could you talk about the sequencing of news and potential catalysts at Coppernico? So you've got drills that are going to be turning, at least with the one drill that's going to be putting in. You have the potential asset announcement coming in the weeks ahead. COMEX copper hit an all-time high in August. You see gold that's recovered very nicely. I mean, it was below 4,000. It's now at 4,420. What are these macro trends? What are you leaping on, and what are you specifically doing regarding Coppernico?
So the gold look is very bullish, and a lot of reports coming out of very, very quality sources talking about $6,000-$7,000 gold again. That's incredibly bullish. The copper market is a time issue, and you're seeing the U.S. buying 200,000 tons of copper. You're seeing the tariffs protecting supply. You're seeing the Congo slow down on their exports. They're protecting supply as well. There's a bit of a very explosive chess game that's developing with copper because of the tight supply and this small shortage in inventories. And so, the fix is long-term, not short-term. And I think we're going to enjoy a time period of incredibly high metal prices. One thing you hear often is higher metal prices, higher throughput in the mines, meaning you can produce more copper. That's a lot of re-engineering for the most part, and permitting that needs to get undertaken. And sometimes that involves a social footprint and social engagement as well. So nothing's going to happen quick, to go and give that copper supply. But what really, really gets me going, and it's something I followed throughout my career, is since the 80s, back then when there was half the population on the planet, obviously development has doubled. The population doubled. We now have electric vehicles. We now have AI. We now have all kinds of instruments and a modernization of the planet that's underway. If you and I were to sit here and have lunch and talk about the future, flying cars, a lot of new transport, fast trains or what have you, cleaner environment, that is such a demand on not just copper, but other critical metals and base metals that's going to be needed. But a lot of people don't look back and guess, where did the metal come from for their laptop or their iPhone or their car? Or a lot of people don't realize that the average car has about 40 pounds of copper in it, and electric car has 180 pounds of copper in it. Or a bus has 600 pounds of copper in it, or an AI platform, a big building, will have 70,000 pounds of copper in it. So these are things that eventually you're going to hit a threshold, a bottleneck. That bottleneck is starting. So the one thing that we've gotten right, Michael, since I've started talking about Sombrero, is the copper price, because we always had bullish outlooks. But it's a bit intimidating when you think of how tight that supply is going to be if you don't have exposure to it as an investor. You can buy any producing copper company, or you can speculate with us in the juniors that may find it. But it's going to become a new market for all of us. Gold is always leading the charge with emotion. It triggers our entire sector. I think the fourth quarter through the midterms, you're going to see a lot of attention come into commodities. I said this was one of the busiest summers of my career, and I've had so many incoming calls from around the world with interest in projects that I'm working on because of the scale of them, but the commodity interest is growing. So I think our timing is perfect. Catalysts I can talk about, you have them. Start of drilling, possible U.S. acquisition, and some other news will come out of Peru. But there's a few other things in the background, and our mindset is, how can we create a serious amount of value in our company this fall and complement Sombrero, as well as create a lot of optionality so that we can capture this big bull market in metals. We are copper and gold. We might be gold and copper. We don't know that till we drill. The project has a lot of gold and a lot of copper. That seems to be the perfect blend for some of the largest miners out there. And the other thing that's really significant for Sombrero is the copper on surface. The grade of it is over 0.5% on a lot of areas, up to over 1%. And you have exceptional infrastructure. So it stands alone. It's been a tough wait. You take a lot of bullets when things take longer than expected, but the project keeps getting better, and so does the commodity market we're in. So at least we're gonna catch perfect timing there to perform for shareholders. And the time frame from now till a big glorious win for me and my perspective, based on what we're gonna plan to drill and how we see things unfolding without any major disruptions, is about 18 months to get the first major look. And that's generally where you do get the most leverage in the share price returns of these companies. And that's where you get the steepest move if you have the big discovery. So very exciting. I've got a very busy fall starting, and I'm sure it'll continue through next year because drills will be turning, and I will be circling the globe, introducing everyone to our plan and showing them how rare Sombrero is, and also letting people know what we're finding and how well that's going as things progress. But very excited to be kind of starting up the company again, not just waiting for permits, and to get a drill out and not looking back.
Ivan Bebek, I look forward to seeing you on the road. Thanks for speaking with Mining Stock Daily.
Thank you so much.
The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decisions.